Hey everybody, welcome back once again. It's your girl Jasmine. I'm sorry I have not been making videos for a while. Of course, you guys know that I recently bought a car, so I've been working a lot. I'm still saving for my move. I'm getting closer to my goal. So things are going good. So I kind of want to talk about some choices, choices that affect our lives. This morning, my post on my Facebook was basically talking about how today I choose to make better choices to impact my future. I believe that the choices that we make today impact our future for later on in our life, um, depending on how you want the outcome of your future. I think about my life when I was out running the streets, and then all the choices that I made were wrong choices. But the day that I decided to choose to turn my life around, things started getting so much better, and I am who I am today because I made a choice to better impact my future. And so we're gonna kind of talk about that today, um, because it's so funny. I was talking to um, someone yesterday, and I was telling them how we all have that moment of that aha moment. Oh my gosh, I think I need to make a better choice than the choice that I've made. There needs to be some type of change in this place in my life, depending on what place it is in your life. For me, that moment was to stop living a crazy lifestyle like I was. That was my aha moment, the place where it was that I needed to change. Uh, we all have a different place, in our lives, different areas, different, things. But once we get to that, oh, this is a different place in which it is that I need to change, whether it is I need to be a better parent, or I need to be a better friend, or I need to live a better life, healthier for myself. I need to lay off the drugs. I need to, there is that moment of, what am I doing with my life? Choices like that that will affect our tomorrow. Um, so we're gonna start off. You guys know I love the prodigal, so we're gonna start off in Luke 15, and we're gonna look at the first choice that the prodigal decided to make when he was living his life, um, as he approached his father. So here we are, and I know that it starts. Um, what is it in 11, verse 11 of Luke 15? So it says, and he said, a certain man had two sons. And the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of good that falleth unto me. And he divided unto them his living. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey unto a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living. And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in the land, and it began to be in want. So we're going to stop right there. So the first choice that the prodigal decided to make was to approach his father for his portion. Um, so basically, here he was. He wanted to approach. I have decided that I want the portion in which it is that God has, you know, basically the father wants to give to me, the inheritance which wants to give to me. So say that God wanted to give you something in your life, and you could have it. All you have to do is ask for it. And so you decide, hey, this is the moment, the time in life that I want what it is that God has for me in my life. So you ask for it, and God gives it to you. See, the Father gave it to him. So it says, the Father give me the portion and the goods that falleth unto me, and he divided unto them his living. So what he did was he gave him the portion. He didn't, you know, question it. He didn't nothing. He just gave him the portion. So that was his choice. He decided that he wanted to choose to take what it was that the Father had to offer him. And whenever God wants to give you something, it is your choice to either have what it is that God wants for your life or to not have it. It is also a choice of what it is that you do with it. So we're going to look at that next. He says in verse 13, and not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living. So instead of loving and taking care of his portion and doing something that is beneficial with his portion, instead of taking care of his portion, instead of doing the right thing with his portion, the prodigal wasted it. Wasted it. So when you think about wasted something, it's not something that is, it's wasted. It's empty. It's like me going to the store, buying a juice, and just throwing it away. That's waste. Why didn't I drink it? It wasn't used for anything or any purpose. I just bought it and I wasted my money. I wasted the juice. I wasted, there was no purpose in me. There was nothing to show for what it was that I had with what I had gotten. It was just put on to like trash, like nothing really beneficial to improving my life. Maybe I was dehydrated and I could have drunk the juice and gotten hydrated, but it never benefited me in any type of way because I never drank the juice. And so it says, and he wasted his substance with righteous living. So that was his choice. He made that choice to sit there and waste the substance on righteous living. Earlier when I was looking in the Bible, and I opened the Bible earlier, I was talking about how God is a God who basically, we are all going to be required to look upon our own sins and our own faults and our own choices. When God approaches us on Judgment Day, he's never going to ask us, hey, Jasmine, why did so-and-so do this? I don't know why so-and-so did this. Is that my fault that they did this? Or I can't be like, oh, well, hey, Jasmine. God will be like, hey, Jasmine. Hey, how are you? Well, why did you do this? Because so-and-so did it. Well, what does that have to do with you? That was your choice to also do it as well. You had the choice to either choose not to, or you have the choice to do it as well. What choice did you make? Did you make the better choice, or did you not make the better choice? We are all accountable for our own sins, our own actions. Those are choices. When Adam and Eve sinned in the garden, Eve made the choice to bite into the fruit. Adam, when he bit into the fruit, also made the choice as well. Adam tried to blame his wife for the choice that he made, but he made it as well. He also within himself had the choice not to. What happens in society is we tend to often blame a lot of other people for our choices. And I know that I talk about this all the time, how my life was affected by other people's choices. Yes, our lives can be affected by other people's choices. I think that if other people would have made better choices, that my life would have probably turned out differently. But that does not that does not mean that I didn't make choices along the way in my life, um, because I did, and those choices also impacted my life, um, and they impacted other people's lives as well. But people never understand how choices impact other people's lives, but still, even though they impact other people's lives, you are still responsible for the choices that you make in your life, and you are still accountable for those choices. Because it's like this: even though people made choices that impacted my life, that caused me to go down bad roads, when I was standing before the judge would never listen to, well, because my parents didn't love me the way I needed to love me, I'm here in the court. No, if I did a crime, I still had to pay the time. So you are accountable for the choices that you make when it comes to living in your sin and choosing to go down the bad roads in which it is that you go down, depending on where it is that you're going in your life. So I'm going to put up the first few questions and allow yourself to think and meditate on some things in your life, and then we'll continue on. All right, you guys? Peace. What choices have you made that have impacted your life, negative and positive? Do you blame others for the choices you have made, or do you take ownership for them? All right, so we're going to look at verse 14. It says, "And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in the land, and he began to be in want." That was not a choice that he began to be in want. Famine happened in your life. Sometimes situations happen in your life, and the direction of your life just happens to change. And it says, "And he went." That was his choice. He went and joined himself to the citizen of the country, and him he sent him into his fields to feed the swine. And he would fain not fill his belly with the husk that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him. So the choices here was he decided to join himself to the citizens of the country. So when famine came, he decided that he was not going to go home. He was not going to show any area of, oh, okay, things are bad. I didn't make it out here on my own. I couldn't do it. He decided to still try to make it out there in society. And obviously, um, there must have been some type of encounters where he thought that people would give to him during the process, but because of life and situations that happen in life, no one wanted to give to him, so they didn't give to him at all. So he decided to, probably, I could think about him like thinking about his life and things that have happened to us in life. Last night was crazy. I was talking to somebody about having that aha moment, and then today it was so funny because then I was reading this other blog where this woman was on my email who talks about that moment, that God moment that changes your life. And it's so funny because I've been talking about choices all weekend, and then here we go. So here we go. So here is his choice. He thought about certain things in his life, and we all have that moment in our life, and hopefully we all have that moment in our life where we actually sit and think about the path and direction that we've been going down, and we want some type of change. It is a choice to change. Just like salvation is a choice, living for Jesus is a choice, loving yourself is a choice, being a good parent is a choice, loving your kids is a choice, doing the right thing is a choice. There's so much in life that we can do that requires choices. If you guys didn't know, I work the night shift at Subway. So like I do PCA work and then I do night shift at Subway. And a lot of the questions is, what type of bread would you like? What kind of meats would you like? What kind of cheese? Do you want your, sandwich toasted, not toasted? What kind of vegetables do you like? What kind of sauce do you like? Is it for here to go? I have asked those questions over and over and over and over again for a year, and it's giving people the choices um, to pick and choose. And every choice brings you down a different road to a different taste to a different thing. And as soon and all together, when you're finished, you get this sub where it has the taste of choice and what you like. And depending on what you put on it is what your outcome is. So depending on your choices is depending on your outcome. So we have to choose better choices to have a better outcome. You can't choose, nasty things to put on your sub and think that you're going to have a better outcome. Just like you can't choose bad roads for your life and think that you're going to have a better outcome. It doesn't happen like that. The second I decided to choose to change my life is when I started having a better outcome. The second that I wanted, to live this wild, crazy lifestyle, I had a horrible outcome. And so those are the choices that we decide to make in our own lives. And so here is a choice that he decides to make in his life. In verse 17 it says, "And when he had came unto himself," so he came to himself and he thought about it. He thought about the choices in which it was that he had made, and how he could have a better life, if he decided that he wanted to make better choices for himself. And that's exactly what he did. How many hired servants of my father's have bread enough to eat to spare, and I perish with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and I will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee. I am no longer worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy hired servants. And he arose, and he came to his father's house. But when he was a great far way off, his father saw him, had compassion, and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. So we see a lot of choices right here. He decided that he was going to go home, that he felt that what the father had for him was better than what he had out in the world. It says, I have sinned against heaven and before thee. I am no longer worthy to be called thy son. He knew that his choices made him unworthy. He was repentive. He knew that his choices made him unworthy, that he wasn't, he wasn't worthy to be called the son anymore, but he was still going to make the choice to go home. It kind of reminds me of like a person who has had an affair, got caught in an affair, and still at the end of the day decides to go home to his wife, and his wife decides to take him back when he realizes that the choice that he made was not the right choice at all, and that he should have been loving his wife instead of being with other people, or doing things in which he shouldn't have done. And, it's just one of those things in life, that happens. It can be all type of things. It could be the person who decided to rob the liquor store and served a couple years in jail and decided, once they had done their time, hey, when I get out of here, I'm really going to change my life. There's tons of people who go to jail and they come out with the same mentality because they never made the choice to really change. But you have to make the choice to really change and want to do something to better yourself, to impact your life, so that you can go down a different road, so you can head to a better and brighter future, to where it is that you want to go. And so he at this point, when he decided to arise and go home, he decided that he wanted to make better choices for his life. Um, and so that's what he did. And he arose. That was a choice that he made. He could have stayed where he was, but he didn't. He got up and he decided to go home, home to a place that was better for him before he decided to walk out and leave. Before he decided, it's kind of like I said, it reminds me of that man who goes out, he has an affair, and he realizes after having an affair with another person that his wife was better for him than the girl that he decided that he wanted to be with. But yeah, life just brings obstacles and stuff like that. And sometimes we all have to learn from our choices and our mistakes in which it is that we make. And, but, we grow from them. Sometimes they affect our life, you know, more than we know, because, some people are not like the prodigal's father. Because a woman who loses her husband to affair, she doesn't always have to take back her husband. That is her choice. Just like, you know, it's her choice. She doesn't have to do that. Because he has committed adultery. There are choices, that affect all of us, and her choice of whether she takes back her husband or not, like, it would affect both of their lives, because one, he would continue on in his life doing other things, and two, she would continue on in her life doing other things, and make, those bring other choices, in which it is, that affect the both of their lives. Choices don't just affect one person. If it requires another person or other people around you, it affects other people's lives, like I said earlier. And so his choice affected the father. The prodigal's choice affected the father. And so I'm going to put up the next few questions, and we're going to talk about the effects of choices and other people's lives more next. All right, so stay tuned. Have you taken the time to sit down and think about the path you're going down? If you don't like the path, will you choose to go down a new path? Are you choosing a path that will produce a better outcome, or are you choosing a path that produces a bad outcome? So the father had a choice. The father, when the prodigal came back, had the choice to either accept his child back, his son back, or he could reject him. He did not have to take his son back. His son had made the choice to leave, and so because he made the choice to leave, he didn't have to take him back. And that was his choice. You know, but the father decided that he wanted to take his son back. And so, even though we make bad choices in life, they affect other people's lives, to a point where, because I understand how, it is to really be hurt by someone and then leave out of your life, and then them decide that all of a sudden they just want to walk back into your life after they've like sat there and hurt you. It's really hard to do what it is that the prodigal's father is doing, and especially when, you have people who make choices and they walk out of your life and then they come back in your life and then they'll leave out again and they'll come back in again. And, their choices are constantly paining you, and you're like, hey, I just want, you know, you to change the way that you're doing certain things because they're affecting my life, and you're not understanding how they're affecting my life, because the prodigal father, he lived with, having his son out in the world, um, and living righteous living and then coming back. But it's a whole different story when you're constantly in the presence of someone who is constantly hurting you over and over and over and over again. You think about people like Hosea's wife. Hosea's wife, Hosea had to deal with watching his wife go to the next man, to the next man, to the next man, and living this life of whoredom, and then taking her back after constant pain of living this life of prostitution. Um, and, that can be very painful because, when God approached him and said, go love again a woman who's an adulterous woman. Like that was a choice of his that he had to make, and it affected his life as well as his children's life, because his children had to watch the pain that he had, because it talks about that in Hosea, if you read Hosea. uh, and it also impacted his life because he was hurt by it. And so, hurt by her choices that she decided to make in life. So, it goes both ways. Choices that we make don't just affect male or female, they affect both male, female, young, old. I know that choices that my parents made affected me as a child. I know the choices that now that I'm making, that I'm older, and how they affect other people's lives and things that I want to do. Like recently, today I opened up a bank account because I want to homeschool my children. So I've already started the bank account on saving the money so that I can homeschool my children. So me making that choice affects the lives of my children because I've made that choice. No, I'm not married. No, I don't have children. But I have made that choice, and so that choice will impact someone's life. So depending on the choices that we make, it impacts someone's life in any aspect that we go through. And a lot of people don't understand, because some choices we make can cause damage, and some choices we make, is for the better of other people's lives. And so we think about the prodigal's father. After the prodigal had made bad choices in life, decided to live a prodigal lifestyle and waste all his substance on righteous living. He did not use his lifestyle in any way to make anything of himself. He just wasted his life away. But when he made the choice to do better things, I believe that that's when he started to affect others' lives in a better way, because he decided to make some changes. And that's how it was with my life. I lived a really bad lifestyle, but then the second that I decided to change my life and live a better lifestyle, which it is that I try to live now, that I impact people's lives in a better way versus how I impacted lives before. Because before, people were following my example of the things that I did. I have tons of friends who, when I was younger, I wanted to be pregnant and have a baby. And all the baby names in which it was that I wanted to name my kids, I have friends who have named their kids after the names that I wanted to name my kids. Like, that's how much I impacted their life because of the choices that I decided to make. You know, you never know how you're affecting somebody's life by the choices and the decisions that you make. You think about Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden when Eve decided to sin. Well, because since her choice to eat of the fruit of the garden, we all live in sin. So choices affect people, not just now, but for generations to come. Like I said, I opened up a bank account for my children now, but it is affecting my choice for my children in the future generation, because it's going to affect a future generation, not just me, but them as well. So these, we never know how it will affect somebody's future in a sense. And so it says, and the son said unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in the sight. Oh, so he went up to his father. His father showed compassion. So that was his father's choice. His father decided to show compassion and love and understanding. And that is a very hard thing to show when someone has hurt you and has done wrong towards you. But we never know how that affected the prodigal's life, knowing that, okay, I've lived that, because some people, you can show compassion and understanding to them, but even when you show compassion and understanding to them after they have made a bad choice, they go back to doing the same thing because they think that they take that kindness for weakness. And sometimes, because they have not gotten to a point where they are at the, oh, I want to choose to do the better thing, they run all over you and keep doing the same thing to hurt you over and over and over again. But see, if the prodigal hadn't already chose that he was actually done living his lifestyle in which he was living and doing the things he was, then I doubt that this would have been something that affects what is to come, because the prodigal came home with the choice of, I'm ready to change my life. Like, I remember the night that I was telling someone the story the other day. When you're in jail, you're, I'm going to change, I'm going to change. No, you're going to change when you want to change, and I remember the night I got drunk and high and I blacked out a few times. I came back and I said, hey, I'm never going to smoke and drink ever again. And this time I meant it, So when I meant it, I made the choice to change. I no longer wanted to affect people's lives in that kind of manner. And so when you have to really mean it, because you can say it all day, but it doesn't mean anything unless you really mean it, or actually make the action and choice to actually change what it is that you say you're going to change. And so when I decided to make that choice, that is when things change, because I actually meant it. Now, when I meant that I was going to stop doing those things, it was kind of hard at first because my grandmother didn't believe that I had really changed. Like, she didn't believe that. Like, I remember at first I would still go out, but I would come home early just so I could go to church, and she still wouldn't wake me up because she didn't believe I had changed. So it takes a while after the change sometimes for people to actually catch on to the fact that you're still changing, because it requires action. And some people are still used to you being who you are, so they are not going to accept the change all at once. And sometimes it takes a very long time. And sometimes you can tell them all they want to, but you have to keep pushing for it. Like, I fought recently to get a car, and to, like, when God told me to leave college, everybody thought I was relapsing, which I wasn't. I wanted to mentally heal myself from stuff. God said he was going to restore my family. It was never about me going back and running the streets or anything like that, And so I had to, in the last year, prove myself that that was never the case. And some people don't believe it. And still to this day, I'm still doing it, and I have to keep striving and pushing towards it, because, it's easy for me to be like, hey, you know what, because you don't believe me, I'm just going to go back and I'm going to do it. But it's not about them and the choice and what they think is for you. If you want a better future for your life and better things that you want for your life, you have to continue to make the choice, regardless of what someone else says about me or what they think about me. I'm going to be better than what they think that I am. And those choices, will lead you to a better path and affect other people's lives in the future as well. And so we're going to talk about that more after I put up the next few questions, because we're going to talk about people who, even if you make the choice to change, still don't believe you're going to change, but you have to still fight for what it is that you're changing to. All right. How are the choices you're making affecting other people's lives? How will the choices you make affect your children's lives? Are you serious about the choices that you are making, or are you just playing games and not changing? All right, so you think about the prodigals. So he came home and the father gave him all these things. It says, but the father said unto his servants, bring forth the best, in verse 22, robe, and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet, and bring hither the fattened calf, and kill it, and let us eat and be merry. And for this my son was dead and is alive again, and he is lost and is found. And they began to be merry. Now his elder son was in the field, and as he came and he drew nigh to the house, he heard the music and dancing. And he called one of the servants, and asked what these things meant. And he said unto him, thy brother is come, and thy father hath killed a fattened calf, because he hath received him safe and sound. And he was angry, and would not go in. Therefore came his father out, and entreated him. And he answered and said to his father, lo, these many years do I serve thee, neither transgressed I at any time thy commandments, and yet thou never gavest me a kid, and I might make merry with my friends. But as soon as thy son was come, he hath devoured thy living with harlots, and thou hast killed for him the fattened calf. And he said unto him, son, thou art ever with me, and all that I have is thine. It was meet that we should make merry and be glad, for thy brother was dead and is alive again, was lost and is found. So what we see here is that the brother was not happy because of the choice that the father took back the elder son after all the choices and decisions that it was that he decided to make. And that can be really hard sometimes, because people don't like that. People can get angry because it didn't just affect him, the father, it affected the brother too, because the brother had lived up to these high expectations, doing all these things the right way. And then when the other, child who lived the prodigal lifestyle decided to come home, it affected them. I know that me living my lifestyle affected my siblings. I cannot say that it did not affect them, because I know that my parents living their lifestyle affected my life. When you make choices to do certain things, they affect people around you. And they hurt people around you. Choices that, you shouldn't have made, that you have made, and I know because I see some of the choices that I have made and how they affect others around me, and now the choices that they are still continue to make. No, I am not, sitting there and beating up on myself because, of some of the things that they or people do because of what I did, but it does affect their lives in some type of way. It has some type of influence in their lives in some type of way. And so that's why the prodigal son's brother was angry, because he had done the right thing all these years, and then the brother decided to come back and things were supposed to be okay. No, it's not supposed to be okay, because you were out in the world doing all these things, and then you want to come back and act all wild and crazy and everything, and you don't understand how this affects and impacts my life, and things in my life, and oh, I can go out and do exactly what you did. What if I went out and did exactly what you did and then came home? Would I get the same treatment, because I wanted to act all wild and crazy and out of control and do the certain things that you did? So people can get angry at the fact that, you did those things, like, for instance, I can be mad at my parents that they decided that they wanted to do what it was that they wanted to do in their lives. And I can continue on living my life and not want to do different for my children because they once did it, and I can decide to be mad or remain mad at them and their actions in which they did, or I can make the choice to forgive them, like the prodigal's father did, and become a better parent in the future for my children. And that's what I've decided to do. Even though it's hard to forgive them for how they impacted my lifestyle with their choices, I have made the choice that I will be better for my children in the future, that I will not make the same choices that they make. Even to the point where I have sat there and denied people being with me if you're not going to see a better future with me and marrying me. I'm sorry, because I don't want my children to grow up how I grew up. That is a choice that I'm making for myself. I am firm in it. No one is going to be raising my children but me, and I will have a husband, and that is my choice, and my husband will love me. And I'm not going to settle for someone who is not going to love me the way that I believe that I should be loved. And that is a choice that I'm deciding to make. I decided to make the choice that I was going to heal myself mentally before I had children so I don't affect their lives, whether it was to the point where was loving myself and believing that I was beautiful. If I don't believe that I'm beautiful, how can I sit there and try to encourage my daughter, if I have a daughter, and let her know that she is beautiful, and let her understand where she's coming from, if I don't believe it within myself. But I have to make the choice within me to heal myself mentally so I can understand that I'm beautiful, so I can let my daughter know with confidence that I'm beautiful. And so because I'm beautiful, she is beautiful also. And she'll know it for a fact, because it won't be phony, it won't be a lie, but it will be real. And that is a choice that I have decided to make a better future for myself, so that it doesn't affect others' lives around me. The choices that we decide to make in life affect other people around us. You think about in the Bible, in I believe it's First Samuel, chapter 13, when what's his name, Amnon decides that he wanted to that he was so in love with his sister that he sat there and he plotted against her to lust after her, and he took her virginity and then kicked her out. And that choice affected her life for a long time. It impacted her life for a long time because he never really loved her. He lusted after her. And because he lusted after her, it impacted her life in the long run, because she was not able to get married because her virginity had been taken by someone who claimed that they loved her, when all in actuality they didn't love her in the beginning. They just wanted to sleep with her, and then kicked her out and kept moving on with their life. And those are choices that happen all the time. People, decide to rape people, or hurt other people, or lust after people, and don't understand how stuff like this affects their future. Not everyone is going to agree with your choice to change. Will you continue to strive to change, to live better regardless of what they think? Despite how other people's choices have affected your life, will you choose to live better life for you and your future generation? Alright, so I'm going to leave this lesson with a choice. And your choice is to either choose to walk with God today, give him your life and have salvation, or to choose to continue on walking in the world. Now, this is the thing. It is about a choice. Okay? If you choose to walk with Christ, you are choosing life, meaning eternal life in heaven. And if you choose not to walk with Christ, you're choosing death, eternal life in hell. Okay? It is about a choice. You can never say that God put me here because if you go to hell, you chose to be in hell. That was your choice when you did not choose Jesus. There's a man in the Bible called the rich young ruler. He chose to walk away from Christ. He said, Lord, I have kept all the commandments. I have done this, I have done that. But the rich young ruler was covetous. He said, all right, Jesus said, all right, sell all your stuff, give to the poor, and follow me. And what he did, he kept all his stuff. And he never followed Jesus. He decided to go another way. He walked away sorrowful, the Bible said. That was his choice. He chose his things over Jesus. So now it's your choice. No, you don't have to be all right and all perfect and, all smiley and happy to come to Christ, because when I came to Christ, in all honesty, I was on the 28 bus in Boston. I was high as a kite, and I gave my life to Christ that night. I know I gave my life to Christ that night. The next night I went to go smoke. I couldn't get high, no matter how much I smoked. I wondered why. Because there was now a Christ, a God living in me. God will change your life as you go on. It will not be overnight, but it will be day by day. It is your choice. No, it is not always easy. No, you don't always smile. If I told you that it was easy, I would be lying. Because, in the last year, I decided to follow Jesus away from college. That was a hard decision that I had to make for myself. It was a hard decision. It was a hard choice. I had to sit there with God and have Him heal me mentally from my past trauma. That means going back down memory lane and all the things that affected my life and trying to fix them and heal myself from those things and wondering why and how I got there. That is not easy when it hurts. Trying to let go of things that pain you. I lost my best friend in the process of it all because of choices that I decided to make along the way. There are choices that we make in life that affect our life and people's lives around us. If I never gave my life to Christ, you would never be watching this video. But because I made this choice, I am impacting your life in some type of way. Because I choose to live for Christ. So now, if you don't know Christ, it's your time to make the choice to choose, will you live for Christ or will you not? The Bible says, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And then it says, for whosoever call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. What are you waiting for? Make that choice. Are you going to choose Jesus and continue walking down your own road, your own path, or are you going to choose life or death? What are you going to choose? Death? To live in hell forever? What a choice. Yay, wow. I mean, it may hurt sometimes living for Christ, but I know that it is only making me a better person. I recently just bought a car. I got healed mentally. I made it past my 23rd birthday, which I never thought I'd make it to. I opened a bank account for my future kids, and it will show them that I made a choice to let them know that I love them ahead of time. These are choices that you make that make a better future. And if you choose Christ, you choose a better future, a better you, and a better life for generations to come. So I thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I encourage you guys to make that choice today if you haven't already. Until we meet again, all right, guys? God bless. Peace.